Hello and welcome to The Place to SOAR. I'm your host, Anita Russell, and as you know, our motto is step out and redesign, and the focus is always on you. I have some special people here today. These are actually my spiritual parents, and I actually call them the gospel duo, and they are a very unique couple, and I'm going to tell you a couple of the unique things about them. So this is Bishop Sidney Gaines and his incredible wife, Dr. Shirley Gaines. So here's what makes them very unique. Over 35 years of marriage, over 35 years of being together in ministry, over 35 years of leadership, over 35 years of counseling together, over 35 years of business experience. Both are strong believers, seasoned pastors, both have doctorate degrees, both are authors, and both are licensed therapists, and both are life coaches. See, that's amazing to me. The fact that the key in all of that is together and both.
Yes.
So you guys have been here before, so why don't we just jump right in and tell me where you are since the last time you were here.
Well, wait a minute. There's one more you got to add on to that.
Okay.
We both are also, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we're both chaplains now.
Both chaplains.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
So you had to update your brochure here.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, so
excellent.
Since the last time we were here, like Bishop said, we're both chaplains now. The last time I was here, I just had my the book out, just the paperback book. But since then, God has blessed. The book has been revised. So I have the paperback.
Now, what's the name of that book again?
In Your Journey Lies Your Awakening.
In Your Journey Lies Your Awakening.
Here it is. And also, since the last time I was here, excuse me if you don't mind, I have the hardback. I didn't have that the last time I was here.
Yes.
And the last time I was here, I didn't have the workbook.
Excellent.
So all three books are on the market, thank God. And that's what's been happening since the last time we were here.
Excellent. Excellent. So tell the audience a little bit about this book and how you, because it was a journey in and of itself for you writing it.
Yes. The book, In Your Journey Lies Your Awakening. The journey is the experience. You know, sometimes when we're going through, we don't realize it's a journey that we're on. It kind of reminds me of Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz. She was on a journey.
Yes.
And she didn't realize she was on a journey. So as a result of the journey, she learned a lot of things along the way. And so the journey of your life is the things that you're learning along the way, the mistakes that you make. Maybe not making right choices or right decisions, but you learn from them. And the awakening is the experience. Now that I have gone through, now that I have learned what I'm going to take with me. So that's why it's called In Your Journey Lies Your Awakening. It's personal.
Absolutely.
It's not for someone else. That's why it's in yours. It's about you. It's about your journey, and all of us can relate in one way or another to the same journey. But what were the lessons that we learned from it?
Yes,
So in your journey lies your awakening.
So can you share with our audience some of the lessons you've learned along the way?
Absolutely. Wow. Some of the lessons that I learned along the way was how to let go. And which is the most difficult thing. And I'm just going to jump into it. I talk about one chapter in the book dealing with life lessons. And in those life lessons, I talk about myself. I'm a firm believer that as a writer, not only should one write, but they should share. Therefore, when the reader is reading your material, they can say, oh, I can relate to them because I've been through that too. And so one of the things that I deal with the life lessons is some of my childhood. Growing up as a kid, I was rejected. And I kind of, how can I explain it? I kind of allow it to be a part of me even in my adult life growing up. Always trying to be the best that I can be at anything that I've done. And if it didn't work, I was hard on myself because of rejection. And rejection is a terrible thing when you're rejected, because the first thing you ask yourself, what did I do? You automatically take that responsibility, that blame on yourself. But the truth of the matter is, it wasn't about you at all. So I had to come to that place in my life and say, you know what? They had some issues going on in their lives. Because I didn't ask to come here. I didn't make myself. I didn't create myself. I didn't bring myself here. So why am I beating myself up because somebody else has issues? And so when I came to that place in my life, which took time, it just didn't happen overnight. And so when I came to that place, I began to love me. And I began to see me. And I began to say, hey, I am somebody. Sometimes being rejected is a good thing. You know, we look at rejection as a bad thing, but just like that caterpillar, it looks terrible. I mean, you look at that caterpillar and it's like such an ugly looking creature. But as time go on, the process, all that ugliness begins to shed off.
Yes.
And it becomes the most beautiful butterfly you ever did see. And so that's how I characterize my life, the life lesson of being rejected. It's okay to be rejected. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you can deal with it. But now what are you going to do about it? And so that's one of the things I share about my journey. So I share some of me. I give a little bit of me. Yeah, so that's one of the life lessons.
So where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself going in relation to the book? So I think the last time you were here, you were talking about the possibility of a workshop and some things growing out of this.
I see myself, to be honest, humbly going to the nations. There's so much hurt in the world today. And I look at my book as a healing. I look at my book that it can help make a difference. I'm all about making a difference in somebody's life. If I can change one person's life, I done my job.
Yes.
I'm not looking to change everybody. But if I can be a part of making a difference in one person's life, I have done my job. So, of course, workshops, seminars, conferences, I just see myself there. Small groups, medium groups, even large groups. That's where I see me. And that's where I believe God is going to take me, because there's so many people hurting. Not just everyday people, your religious community. Even in the religious community, people go to church every Saturday, every Sunday, or every Friday, and they're hurting.
Yes.
They go, they hear a word, and it feels good, but once they go back home, that feeling, that pain is there. And I want to be that person that's in that arena saying, okay, I know you're hurting. Let's remove the mask and deal with what's behind the mask. It's like makeup. We wear makeup to cover up certain scars or whatever that we don't want anybody to see. Or we wear makeup because we feel it makes us feel pretty. But I want to remove the makeup and let's deal with the natural person. Let's deal with the person so that the person can be whole and not half. So that's where I see myself.
That's good. So Bishop, are you following her?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Following her. I'm one of her biggest supporters.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yes. I truly thank God for what he's doing in the life of my wife. I mean, her book, every time I talk about the book, I get emotional about it. And some folks, they wonder, well, who wrote the book? Did you write it? Did she write it? She wrote it, but it had a profound effect on my life.
Yeah.
And, as I shared last time that we was here, because of a book, the one thing that stands out is the relationship with me and my father. And, me and my dad, who hadn't had a good relationship over 50 years, now me and my dad is like this.
Excellent.
And it's because of the book. It brought me to a place where I was willing and able to accept some things. Because sometimes, there are scars that are there, there are pain that is there. Nobody want to deal with it.
Exactly.
But what her book did was brought me to a place where I was ready to deal with it. And since I've come to that place, I'm working on the second half of my life, the second half of the game. I'm about to finish strong. But it was because of the book. It brought me to a place, it allowed me to confront face to face with some things. It allowed me to forgive, because that's what a book is dealing with, forgiveness. And first you got to forgive yourself.
Absolutely.
I had to forgive myself for holding all that stuff in. You know, there have been plenty of opportunities I had to release it, but for some reason it became like comfort. You know, comfort to me. You know, I want to let it go, but I done had it so long, you know, I don't want to let it go. But the book have allowed me and helped me to let it go. And, you know, the book brought me to that place to confront myself. But the workbook, and I'm working in my own workbook.
Yeah, he has his own copy.
I got my own copy, and I'm working in it because, you know, sometimes we need help.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing, I often tell people, it's one thing to come face to face to something. Now, the next step is, how do I deal with it? You know, how do I get through this? Now that I know this is me, how do I get through it? And her workbook helps me to get through it. So I'm like a brand new man now.
Good for you. So can you talk a little bit about the workbook? Because the workbook is intended to be a companion to the actual book.
Yes.
And so if I'm reading this book, how do I go about incorporating the two together?
That's a very good question. Once you read the book, I'm confident that an individual will find themselves in at least one chapter. There's 11 chapters in the book, and I guarantee you, you're going to find yourself in one. And when you find yourself in that one, now you have, like Michael Jackson said, now you see yourself in the mirror. You see you.
Yes.
Now that you have seen yourself, how do you get to the next level? Or how do you get to the next dimension? Sometimes we see ourselves, but we don't know what's next. We don't know what to do next. So what the workbook does, after you have read the book and you say, wow, that was me. Wow, I had that problem. Now the workbook is like your helper. Your workbook is your guide to help you get to that place where you're trying to go to. Because now you confronted that thing. Now it's like, okay, if a person is alcoholic, they go to a 12-step program. And the first thing that they say when you go to the meetings, introduce yourself. In other words, they want you to recognize who you are. And the book allows you to recognize who you are. And then once you recognize who you are, I'm just using comparisons because I like to do that. And at the seminar or the meeting place for alcoholic, once you identify who you are, now they want you to tell, what is my problem? What is the thing that I'm dealing with? What demon am I fighting? And they say, I'm so-and-so and I'm an alcoholic. Now that they have came to that place, now what can I do to overcome this thing? And this is what the workbook does. The workbook helps you to overcome. And because it's personal to you, the only person that can see it is you. Everybody's not in it. And what I like about it, what I did was I have a journaling section, but before a person goes to that, I have a commitment thing. And it says, my agreement, let's just use me, Dr. Shirley Gaines, agreed to achieve my goals by taking a few minutes out of my day to review my self-worth and to write out my 2 to 5 year plan. I will do this by writing in my journal for at least 3 days out of the week. I will start my journaling at the beginning of the week and keep a pocket-sized notebook that I can carry with me. I will write down a majority of things that I've been confronted with that puts me in this place called fear. And then it says, at the end of the week, I will review my notes and acknowledge my progress. I will write down the date that I started my journey and share it with my closest friend who will help me stay on course.
Oh, wow.
And then you date it. So what this does, this is actually allowing you to be accountable to yourself. And so we need accountability. And sometimes if it don't start with the person within, it's not going to help the person without. In other words, I can't be accountable to you if I'm not accountable to me. So the workbook allows you to see yourself, the role that you played or the role that you didn't play, how to confront it and how to deal with it and how to release it. And so that's what the purpose of the workbook is for.
Excellent, excellent. So one of the things that you guys do together is life coaching. So can you talk a little bit about how you apply this book
Mm-hmm.
to a coaching client?
Oh, that's really wonderful. You want me to go ahead or you want?
Now you go ahead.
The way I would apply it,
Mm-hmm.
I would first have them to confront it.
Right.
I would have them to tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And once they're telling me about them where I'm angry, then I let them tell me, why are you angry?
Mm-hmm.
And then once they tell me, why am I angry? Then I put the question back at them, what are you doing to trying to get rid of your anger?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I tell them what to do, I'm not helping them.
Right.
But if I lead them and guide them as a coach, then they'll come up with the answers themselves.
Yes.
They'll be like, I can stop being so mad all the time. Or I can stop doing whatever.
Right.
See,
right.
you are coaching them, but they're helping themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Because you are
Yeah.
allowing them to bring out what's in them versus you telling them what's in them. So
Exactly.
that's how I would do the life coaching with them within your journey lies your awakening.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. So can we switch gears just a
Sure.
little bit?
Sure.
So I know you guys just recently moved back into the Trenton area.
Yes.
So what was your motivation for doing that? And one of the things that I know is that you guys are very visible in the community. So can you talk a little bit about your motivation for coming back to Trenton and why you feel that it's so important to be here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll start and you.
Yes.
Well, I'm a native Trentonian. I was born and raised in Trenton. I say I'm being all proper. Trenton. Let me cut that up.
Trenton.
What's wrong with me? Trenton. I was born and raised in Trenton, and I happen to love where I was born and where I was raised. I'm very disappointed on what I see in Trenton. Trenton was, and to me, Trenton was at one time was the best place to live, the best place to grow up. They had everything, and it seems as if now something is missing. And I want to be a part of the solution. I don't want to be a part of the problem. I don't want to be sitting around complaining and being the negative party toward any parties. But what I do want to do, I want to make a difference. And the only way that I can make a difference is to be right there in the city. So I'm there mainly, number one, because of love, number two, because of compassion, and number three, because I feel a strong urge as well as a strong need to make a difference. And that's my drive. That's what's driving me, to make a difference, to prove all the namesayers wrong.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I believe by faith that God is going to not just allow me and Bishop, but he's going to allow a whole lot of us that have that mind setting to make a difference in a city. So that's why I'm back. Bishop?
Yes. Well, I wasn't born in Trenton. I was born in Georgia. And I still hold root to my birthplace.
Yes.
But I was raised in Trenton. And Trenton has been good to me. And like my wife says, you know, there was a time Trenton was the place to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was the bomb, as the young folks would say. And like her, you know, to see where Trenton has gone, where's that right now? You know, it hurts. But like she says, rather than to sit back and complain, because if you're not a part of the solution, you might be a part of the problem.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so we believe that God has blessed us, as you read off some of our acronyms, some of the things that God has blessed us with. We feel we have a lot to bring back to Trenton. You know, God has blessed us with a lot of things. You know, I believe that God only bless you to be a blessing.
Absolutely.
You know, if you blessed with all this stuff and you're never a blessing to nobody, what's the use of having it? So we feel that we have a lot to bring back to Trenton. And we believe that we can make a small dent, you know, that will be noticeable. And hopefully that we can stir up and provoke to good jealousy, not bad jealousy,
Yes.
but
Yes.
good jealousy where other folks will say, well, if they can do it, we can do it.
Absolutely.
But even more important, I'm hoping that we all can just come together. You know, like Rodney King said, can we all just get along? You know, we all just come together,
Yes.
work it together, and then who knows, somebody will be writing another book on us.
Hey, it's possible.
Absolutely. So I didn't grow up in Trenton. Trenton.
Trenton.
I didn't grow up here, but I live here, and I've lived here in this area, in the general area, probably for 27 years or something like that, a little more than maybe even approaching 30 years almost. But one of the interesting things about the city of Trenton is that it reminds me very much of the town that I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of those things that you're talking about, the way, you know, Trenton used to be, and, you know, I've seen photographs of what Catwater Park used to look like, and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
We have similar conversations about my hometown. Small town, everybody knew each other. You know, I was never afraid to be out at night. You know, when we were younger, the street lights come on, that's when you go home.
Exactly.
But other than that, you were outside like literally all day long. So very similar in that vein. So I've grown to really like the Trenton area. I've made really good friends and relationships and things like that here. And I see myself also as being somebody that has something to offer to the city. So we've done a couple of things together. So can you talk a little bit more? We're getting ready to run out of time, but I wanted you to talk a little bit more about some of the things that you envision doing to be a part of that solution.
I think we're already doing it. We're part of a group called Partnerships for Trenton. And that's people coming together to make a difference. People coming together to help with jobs and training and skills. And we're part of that organization. The presidents are Paul Perez and his wife Janet Perez. And it's called Partnerships for Trenton. Partners coming together. And we're also a part of Not in My Neighborhood. And matter of fact, Not in My Neighborhood, yesterday we were at some of the schools. We were at Junior 2. It has a different name now. But we were at Junior 2 letting the children know that young lives matter. So what we did, we were greeting them when they was coming off the bus, when they was walking to school. We was giving them wristbands, giving them little flyers, and we was letting them know that they matter. We was letting them know you're the next leaders, you're the next generation. And then we went inside the school, was able to talk to them in the auditorium, and it was just such a great experience. So we're doing things now
And also
to make a difference. And I have a business called Journey of Awakening. And what Journey of Awakening is, it houses different products and services. And some of the services that we will be housing is going to be family counseling, because the problems that we're having, you know, the family is kind of, you know, going through some challenges. I don't want to say messed up. They're going through some challenges. And so Journey of Awakening is one of those things that's going to be doing counseling and mentoring our youth and coaching.
Absolutely. So before we run completely out of time, I wanted to make our audience aware that you guys are available for speaking engagements, counseling sessions, one-on-one life coaching, book signing events, book distribution, workshops, seminars, conferences, and retreats. And I plan to be tagging along as you're doing what you're doing. So we just have a few more minutes left. And what I'd like you to do, Bishop, is what is the golden nugget of wisdom that you would like to leave, rather?
The golden nugget of wisdom. Well, I just like to encourage everybody to continue to do your best. Go through your tests, pray for the rest, try to stay out of mess. Some mess is hard to stay out of, but deal with it with your best.
Amen.
That's good.
Amen. So you heard it right here at the Place to Soar.
Yes.
And I wanted to thank you guys for coming back a second time. It's always a pleasure to be around you. You know, and I haven't even known you that long, but it's been really a great experience, and it's an honor for me to call you my spiritual parents and all that sort of thing.
We need daughters and sons.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you very much to our audience for joining us, and I hope to see you next time at the Place to Soar. Bye-bye.